Hey, what's good, everybody? This is Ace here with my partner Marcus, and we're about that sports life, man. So you know what we came to do? We're about to talk some sports. Before we get into it too deep, man, what's going on, brother?
Everything good on my end, man. Just exciting light last night.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. We were just talking. We met on Tuesday, just trying to get float topics, ideas for the show. And right before we ended, I said, whatever, no matter what we come up with, something's gonna happen tomorrow. And
Yep.
I was wrong. I was wrong. Everything happened yesterday. So it's like between the time we talked and now, everything happened. So like we
Yep.
almost got to scrap what we was talking about and just kind of start over.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
you got the big story, which is the Harden trade. We're gonna definitely get to that. But then you also got Urban Meyer took the Jacksonville position um, today. And then I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting at least one other thing that was pretty big, but it's so much. So it's
uh,
like,
Dallas signed their defensive coordinator.
yeah, Dan Quinn. That was, I mean, and we already had it on the schedule, but we got to talk about your boys,
He
Eagles.
was
I got
interviewing.
questions. Yeah, I got questions. I got
Uh,
questions.
that's, yeah.
Where you want to start, man? We starting.
I mean, I think Harden is the biggest thing. That probably take
You
the
want
most. Would probably
to
go.
tackle that first?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean,
So I mean, as everybody probably already know, um, let's just rewind a little bit, just in case someone hasn't been following this closely. Because actually, it's really weird. I talked to my cousin last night. I'm just talking to him. I think I was watching the game. I forget what I was doing in front of the TV, and mentioned to him like, "Yo, you heard about Harden, right?" And he's like, "No." Like, what?
wow.
so so I basically had to tell him the whole timeline. He's got some other stuff going on though, so he kind of been out the loop. So,
Hmm.
but it's like, all right, maybe everybody does not know. So let's start at the beginning. So of course, Harden has from the very beginning of the season. Of course, last season in the bubble did not end well for the Rockets.
Nope.
Um, of course, in the offseason, Russell Westbrook gets traded. They bring in John Wall. They sign Boogie Cousins. They make another very key to me, big
Christian
signing,
Wood.
underrated signing, Christian Wood. Um, they all come back to start the season. Harden's a little late. Um, so the
Nice,
first couple games, huh? I'm sorry,
nice
huh?
way to put it.
Huh? Yeah. I'm just trying to gloss over things. So to begin the season, you get a couple games of just seeing John Wall, Boogie Cousin, Christian Woods, and I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure the general consensus is they look pretty good.
Yeah. They look like they
Look
could
like
play. It, you could tell once he got back, the chemistry and the issues affected them as a whole.
yeah. But I'm getting to that. But so Harden does come back. First couple games. First of all, first noticeable thing is for some reason he gets his jersey 2 sizes too small. Not sure what happened there. I'm not gonna
Mm.
speculate. I'm just saying they might want to check on the size of his jersey because it looks
I,
tight. It looks tiny.
I
But
think he
anyway,
fat pounds on the way in.
but anyway, um, first couple games he's killing it. He's
Mhm.
Harden that we normally know. I think he had a 40-point game, couple 30-point games, and then for some strange reason we lost. We didn't get that anymore. It just stopped getting that Harden, and things did not look good for the Rockets. Like it
I
just the
tried.
team as a whole didn't look good. Um, so now basically up to now this week, um, Harden basically after a loss to the Lakers, a very bad lopsided loss,
Oh yeah,
Harden basically comes out and says, "Yeah, this is not working. We're not good enough, and I don't think we can fix it." And it's just
yeah.
like it's almost kind of like we all knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
The talks
Once
of him
they said,
trying to get traded, but it still felt like a bomb would just drop. Like he just dropped it, like it just
yeah,
walked off.
it's like
And then
I don't know if they were planning to trade him that fast, but once you say your team's not good enough, those guys don't want to see you again. So
exactly. So he
hey,
kind of
Hart,
forced their hand.
yeah, Harden forced the hand all the way. Like he was tired of the situation. And if you see him, John Wall talk today, you can tell they were never really on good terms while he was here. They had a relationship previously, but with everything that was going on, they didn't really build anything while he was the short time they were teammates. So it just comes to a point where you gotta, if you're the Rockets and you know he is a prime player, so the haul is not going to drop much just because it's some drama. Like some of my teams are definitely still going to give things up to get him because
Yeah.
James, no matter how much I may feel about not wanting him on my team, and I'm glad it didn't happen, but he still does help the Nets if they can.
Well, what happens is this: even though you know he wants out, it's still an arms race, and I
Yeah.
think that's why they were still able to get what they got because it was between the Sixers and the Nets. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way in hell the Nets want the Sixers to get Harden, and there's no way in hell the Sixers want the Nets to get Harden. So they
Mm-hmm.
kind of had an arms race going, and that's why I think a lot of some of the other teams kind of got boxed out.
Yeah.
You know, teams like the Heat, teams like Denver, teams like Toronto. Well, Toronto should have
Honestly,
been in it, but
honestly, if the Sixers are offering Simmons, there's not too many teams in the league that can even come close to that. You know what I mean? The Nets were in a good situation where Karis LeVert has looked like a rising player. And then the fact that we all know Jared had uh, NBA value, and then they were not afraid to give up multiple picks
yeah, the
for
picks.
a
I think the picks make the
long
difference.
time. Exactly. If it was just about players, you probably would say, Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle might have been better because the Sixers. I know that we've seen the Maxi stuff, but that was never happening. They weren't giving up Maxi. Also, if you just talk at players, you might have took the Sixers deal. When you look at all the picks and all the swaps the Nets gave up, if I'm the Rockets, I'm like, it's kind of bulletproof from them from losing the trade. Yes, you
Exactly,
lost James
exactly.
Harden. Yeah, you lost James Harden, but you got Levert and you flipped him into Oladipo. We'll go into that a little later. But at the same time, Harden is 31, 32 maybe, yes.
31. He's 31 now still.
31. So you got, but he's a free agent after next season. If something doesn't go right and he leaves Brooklyn, right? Or if Kyrie leaves Brooklyn, and then we know KD has not really signed a long-term commitment deal either. If in 3 years none of those guys are on that team, you're going to end up
Those
giving
picks.
Rockets top 5 picks. And we're going to look back at this just like we looked at the Nets and Celtics trade previously, which was worse. They gave up Garnett and a bunch of grandpops. But those picks end up turning into players like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You know what I mean? And they rebuilt the Celtics and they're back in a certain situation, whereas the Nets were left empty-handed. That's my fear for the Rockets for the Nets again, that if they don't win a championship in the next 2 years, this season or next season, I can see this going down as when we look at it 10 years from now, like, dang, yeah, it was a good idea, but it didn't work out.
To me, but it's so weird that it's the Nets that find themselves in this situation
It's,
again. And I feel like it's the same thing. The Nets have always been a team, and this even goes back before that to the previous time when the Nets were prominent, when it was the Jason Kidd led Nets. They've always been a team that has to kind of reach for prominence. They have to kind of reach for that because
yeah, they don't have a real
in
base.
they always been number two in the
Mm-hmm.
same city, and they've always had to kind of reach for that attention and that prominence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're seeing it again. Like they did it back then with Jason Kidd. That was the best version of it, I should say. Then
The
you had the
Melo,
time with
I kind of think when they did it with Garnett and them, I think that was exactly what you're saying. They were trying to chase the Carmelo Knicks. You know what I mean? Because remember, that's the time when Melo was still in New York, Amari Stoudemire.
yeah.
They were kind of on the rise. People thought, all right, New York is back. Well, Brooklyn, New Jersey had just moved to Brooklyn, so they're trying to keep up, like you're saying. I agree with that. But that's not always the best idea for long-term success. You know what I
No,
mean?
I
Like,
agree.
you can't always look in a short vacuum. Like some Sixers fans were so upset that, oh, if we get James Harden, we could win a championship this year or next year. We gotta maximize Embiid's prime. And I say, on one hand, yes, that's fair. I can't say you're wrong about that. But on the other hand, if James Harden came here and it didn't work out and he leaves after next year, you're sunk. You know what I mean? Like you gotta
Yeah.
slow down at some point and just stick to one plan. Like I feel like this.
Well, and it's the thing. The the super team thing, it only works when you have, to me, an unselfish star.
Mm-hmm.
Think LeBron, think Steph. Like
Mm-hmm.
that to me is what made the super team work. When you had the big three, that was more of a compromise between three stars. Like, and that chemistry happened to work. Garnett, Pierce, and Ray Allen kind of all said, all right, we're going to each sacrifice a little bit to be better.
And their play styles didn't overlap each other.
Exactly. And then that's why I don't, to me, that's not the best model for winning. The best model for winning is what we're seeing with the Sixers, with the Celtics, with Toronto to a degree. You build a team. You build through the draft, you build through young players, you build a team, and then if you can inject a star or if you can grow a player into a star, then there you have it. But
Mm-hmm.
just grabbing this star, this star, and this star because they happen to have a past relationship, that to me is not the recipe. And that
Yeah, that could leave you in a situation kind of like the Rockets are in. The Rockets when they first got Harden, we all liked that move. It was like, okay, build around Harden. We'll see where you go as he grows as a player. That franchise will continue to grow. But what did they do? They immediately went and signed Dwight Howard. Didn't work. After Dwight doesn't work, they go trade for Chris Paul. Some success there, but Chris Paul had the injuries in the playoffs that hurt him. Then last year, they trade for Westbrook, which never made sense to ever made sense to me. I know Westbrook and Harden, like you said, the past relationship, yeah, they could play together, but you were at a different point in both of their careers where they're MVP players, and I don't know if either one of them was ready to take a step back for the other. You know what I mean? Like if I feel like if the Rockets would have just stayed in position after Dwight Howard didn't work, right? After that time, stop trying to chase the Warriors because I know they were up and coming at the time. It just built, and then once you got that, like Christian Wood, if you got a Christian Wood type 3 years ago, I know he wasn't that player, but if you get him 3 years ago with Harden younger, with remember they had Trevor Ariza, they've had Eric Gordon for a while, like that's more of a team that you can see continue to grow into being a true contender and not a one and done contender. Like I think the
yeah,
worst thing is being a one and done contender. I think Miami Heat right now, like they contended last year. There's a chance they won't contend this year, but they're young enough and they have the pieces in the right spot that as Tyler Hero, Precious Achua, and oh shoot,
bam.
Bam, yeah, that's what I was names
Yeah,
as
I know
grow,
that's what you meant.
yeah, as those three guys grow, they're forever a threat.
Yeah, that team, even minus as good as Jimmy Butler is, and as much as he is a fabric of that team, minus Jimmy Butler, they're still competitive. To me,
Exactly.
I believe that they'll find a way because of that, because of Eric Spoelstra, and because of the pieces that they have. That team minus Jimmy Butler is still a competitive team in the Eastern Conference.
Oh yeah, like we just played them last Sixers played them yesterday. I know they were kind of short-handed, but Miami gave us the run. Like it took Embiid going the hell off in the third or fourth quarter to get the W. Like Miami's always going to be a team because they have that culture that's going to fight no matter what the talent level around them is. And I'm glad to see them, along with the Celtics, not break that youth movement that they have in the growth that they have to trade for Harden. And that's no
Well,
shot at James Harden. James Harden is a
uh,
great player. He's
we
one
know
of the
what James Harden is.
yes, he's probably the most gifted scorer I've seen. You know what I mean?
Uh,
But
you
it's that
know that.
Kobe
I'm
said it.
sorry.
You can't win that way.
You know James Harden is special when he comes into this new season 25 pounds overweight and can
Because
still do whatever he wants to do on the court. That's amazing to me in and of itself. As crazy as it is for him to do that, that's amazing that you can come to the NBA 25 pounds overweight and still not just be competitive, do whatever you want, be
whatever you want.
unstoppable still,
Like only
essentially.
time he was not productive is when he didn't want to be. When he didn't
He
get
didn't want to. He
yeah.
just turned it off.
Yep.
But like you were saying, going back to, I like the Sixers not doing the trade, of course. I do still think, to me, like, and I've already voiced the opinion to you from watching the Sixers this season, they're the best team in the NBA this season to me, either conference, from what I've seen. But I do still fear, come playoff time, um, there's still some things that need to be ironed out. Now it's still a bunch of season left.
Number
The things like
25 has to gain some off. If
not just that.
25
No,
is
not
not,
just that. But it's not just that though. It's not.
that's the
I
number
think y'all.
one.
I mean, I could say you could say it long term. I feel like for y'all guys to win a championship, he has to be an offensive threat. But I feel like even just to take that next step, guys like Seth Curry has been great.
It's been a big
Um,
week. Can't wait to get him
uh,
back.
Danny
Tobias,
Green has been really good.
Tobias is
Uh,
out and he's playing at a high level.
yeah, Shake
And
Milton,
then hit on
um,
Maxey, Shake Milton taking another.
Max, but and that's where the importance lies is making sure that you maximize those guys
Mm-hmm.
because come playoff time, those are the guys you're gonna need.
They got to be
Embiid
ready.
is gonna come and do what he Embiid
He
is gonna
got
come. He's gonna do what he's gonna do.
yeah, like you
Simmons
need
gonna come.
to the level to be able to like. I use Fred Van Vliet as the example because I feel
Good
like yes,
example.
the Raptors had a good team. They had Kawhi, they had Siakam, they had Lowry. Yes, but it was times in those games where Fred Van Vliet led the offense, especially in the second unit, and that's how you win a championship. I think just like with the Lakers this year, adding Dennis Schroeder is that type of player. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you got your stars and they're going to lead you, but they can't play all 40 minutes. I mean, 48 minutes. Like, they're not going to be in the game all game. You know what I mean? You have to have those role players. Like, that's why we like the Clippers so much last year because you thought, okay, Lou Williams and
They had
Montrez are coming off the bench.
mm-hmm.
That just keeps the weight rolling. We know some things change with COVID and all that. For the Clippers, it caused them to not reach what they wanted to reach, but that model is still what wins, what's successful. Even when we look back at let's Kobe's Lakers, you still had I mean Kobe and Shaq, right? They were the guys. You still had a Derek Fisher. You know what I mean? You still had other role
Rick
players.
Fox, Robert
Yes,
Ory.
Robert Ory, and he's been that guy on multiple teams. You got to have those role players that can help your stars get a break and still stay as a functioning high level team. And I say that to say that's where I think the Nets could be in some trouble
Yeah,
because
no, their bench is decimated.
yep,
They have
then when
no
you hurt,
defense.
mm-hmm.
They have
Then when you
no
hurt,
second unit.
Karis LeVert is gone. You didn't bring in another player at all. If you look at that trade, the Nets got one person.
Yeah, one person.
They had multiple go out though. They
They sent
received
out
one.
about 6 players and got one.
Yes, like, and he's a great, but he can't play all game and he ain't in shape yet. So I think that's what can hurt them. And also another thing is the rookie coach situation. I know
For them
Steve,
three personalities,
yes,
those
I
three
know
in
Steve
particular.
Nash. I know Steve Nash is a legend, and I know because they're my age. All three of them, well, except for Kyrie's a little younger. KD and Harden are my age, so I know that we see Nash in a legendary type of figure. But that don't mean you're going to just listen to everything he say. Like when you're Kevin Durant and James Harden, your game's been somewhat on par with what his was at the time, and he's never coached before. I just think the bench and Steve Nash, if he's not able to get them on the same page and build a system that is beneficial to them too. You see, I don't bring up Kyrie because I don't know what the hell he's doing.
Because
Um,
my thing is, it's similar to when Kyrie was on the Celtics. I don't. I think part of the biggest problem with that is he didn't necessarily respect Brad Stevens as a coach. Which I respect Brad Stevens. The league respects Brad Stevens, but I don't think Kyrie because and he said all the right things and things were going okay, but until it was that moment of truth where, okay, Brad is making a call and it's not calling your number. He called, I remember like it's yesterday. He called Tatum's number and Hayward was the guy that was going to have the ball and pass it to Tatum. And basically, Kyrie threw a tantrum on the court because Tatum got the last shot. And that to me showed all the disrespect in the world. Of course, I don't think he was disrespecting Tatum. I don't think he was disrespecting Hayward. I think that was pure disrespect to Brad Stevens and the call that he made. The call that he made was for Tatum to take the last shot. Period. And that's
period.
what the coach calls. That's what the coach calls.
Now, you could argue after the game it does not work, you could probably go step to Steve is like, yo, bro, I know you're trying to build confidence in him. He's a young player. He's got lot of promise. I feel you. But in that moment, I was ready. And then you could do that after the game. But if you're doing that during the game, and let's just add that bro, he's walking around the Boston Garden with Sage. He's leaving the locker room for weeks and not talking about he's not coming back to play. And then now, all of a sudden, they pull off this trade and he's excited to be back. It's like, bro, what are you going to commit to? You know what I mean? Like, I understand you have a lot of other things maybe going on. He is a smart dude. I'm not going to disrespect his intelligence. I think Kyrie's extremely smart. But I think it may be a question of how committed he is to basketball at this point.
Too smart for his own good to me sometimes, man. Sometimes when guys think they know too much, that could be a problem. It's like you think you know better in every situation. You always think you out thinking something, but it's like, bro,
Well, he
we don't
better
even
up.
need that from you. We
Yeah,
don't
he
even
showed
need that
that
from you right now.
when he left Cleveland. He showed that he was overthinking it, and I, I remember at that time when he was with LeBron, and you remember Kobe saying, "Yo, I told Kyrie don't blow this situation because I've been through that already. I know what it's like to lose a legend. It ain't easy to get back." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Kyrie did not give a damn. Like he's like, okay, yeah, you right, you right, but he still did the same thing. Even though I think some of his motives for leaving Cleveland was because he thought LeBron was out, period. And I can understand that. But at the same time, if you and LeBron stay together and y'all win a second championship, don't you think that could sway his opinion?
yeah, you gotta try. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can see both sides on that. I've always said that. But it is, but that's true. Like I don't really see any reason why he didn't rock out there. To me, you were there before he was there, and then he comes and then he leaves. You still the same Kyrie when he leaves. So I don't know. Like I said, I always kind of felt the two. I can see both sides of that. It's always a what if to me because of course, that affected my team and a lot of things that happened there. So it's always a big what if for me. Now
Mm-hmm.
I do want to kind of revisit the Harden trade real quick because you mentioned the Sixers and the Celtics, kind of both had the same situation with youth. I think that I truly feel like going into this season, Harden might have ended up um, wearing green, but I think that Jalen Brown kind of made that a nah, we're not doing that because
And
the
his
way he's
rock
played to start the
trail.
season, yeah, he pretty much made himself untradeable. It's like you can't trade a guy that has shown what he's shown in the past and then shown that this type of step that he's taking this season. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, we can't.
Mhm. He's always been a multi-dimensional player, but now you're seeing the offense that they were projecting him to become. Now you're seeing him turn into a full-fledged, should be an all-star this season if he continues it up. And yeah, and it's like him and Tatum fit already. Like that's not a question. We all know those two know how to make it work. And then you got Kimba coming back. He knows his role. So why break it up just for James Harden? I mean, not to disrespect Harden, but the Celtics, I feel like with what they have versus giving up a Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown picks, whatever cat fillers you got to do. I feel like that does not make them better than the team they have. You know what I mean? I think it might bring more stardom and more cameras because it's Harden and Tatum, but Harden ain't playing defense like Jalen Brown. Harden ain't giving you what Marcus Smart gives you in energy. So yes, y'all may score a lot of points between Tatum and Harden. Tatum plays well defensively, but it's not the same effect as a whole team. Like I always used to get into arguments with people when they say, "Oh, LeBron couldn't win when he had when he got Shaq in Cleveland, even though Shaq was ancient at the time." But people always try to take shots at certain players for not winning. And I always say, man, no, it's not always on one guy. Like there's a reason we do not see championship teams that only have one guy. You have to have a team and you have to have a rotation that can fulfill your needs when those stars need to take a break. Not like we're not in the era of somebody trying to play the whole game. It's not happening anymore, and it's not healthy for them to do that anymore. So I think the Celtics, they just got to stay in the course they're in. The Sixers and the Celtics are at the top of the East right now. We know that. We know Brooklyn. If things keep coming together, they're going to come up too. Milwaukee's a good team too, but I don't think any team is Warriors good where you're like, oh, they're going to the finals.
Yeah, it's wide open right now, and to me, it's wide open in both conferences. I know most people would say that the Lakers got the West locked up, but I think both conferences is wide open because I feel like a lot of teams are not even in their groove yet. And I think this COVID thing right now, where everybody missing games, I think this is kind of tripping some teams up too,
Mm-hmm.
that still need to kind of get to that level, get back to that level. I think that within the next month, once they get all this stuff sorted out, we're going to start to see the real teams, you know, show themselves. Um,
Yeah, the
and then
COVID.
a team,
That,
a,
that's
a team
that's
that we're gonna
affecting
have to. Well, I'm sorry, what?
No, I was saying, yeah, the COVID thing is affecting the whole league.
Yeah, and one thing that we gotta look at now is now Houston. What is Houston going to be with now adding Victor Oladipo to John Wall? Boogie Cousins, uh, uh, Christian Wood,
Yep.
um, Aaron Gordon is still there. You know, they got it. That's a pretty good team to work with, man. PJ Tucker's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, that's a pretty good team, and I think that they can contend. I think that they can be in the mix.
I think
You
it's
know, they
that they're going to start to now that Harden's gone. We've seen it plenty of times before. When the team trades a star, the rest of the guys there feel disrespected. So you're going to see them play on another level.
mm-hmm,
Like John Wall,
yeah.
John Wall has surprised me, honestly. I did not think John Wall would come back and be as effective as he's been early on in the season. But now he has a chip on his shoulder because he's like, yo, I'm that dude too, bro. Like you had somebody here, you just never even gave it a shot. Like you just wanted to get out from rip just because of the coach. And it's
But
kind of
and
messed
I
up.
also not to cut you off. I've heard rumblings that this was a KD, Kyrie, and Harden plan
Playing. Yeah, it's
since the
possible.
summer.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is the case, it does kind of make sense
It does.
because it's kind of weird that Kyrie left the team around the same time when Harden pulled the stunt that he pulled, and now all of a sudden Kyrie's ready to come back. So it's like, okay, if that's the case, so be it. But like you said, if I'm John Wall, if I'm Boogie Cousins, if I'm Christian Wood, I feel disrespected because I feel like Christian Wood is playing the best ball of his career so far,
Yes,
and
he is.
Harden couldn't see that.
He's balling. And Harden having on blinders that I want to get out probably doesn't even notice
Yeah, that's what
it.
I'm
Doesn't
saying.
even notice. And,
Like you said, I think they got a chip on their shoulder that could lead them directly to the playoffs.
yep, yep. Like
One,
John Wall is playing very well. No, he's not the John Wall that he previously was before the
but he
two
look like
injuries. But I
he look
but
like
I
he's getting
I
back.
don't know that he can't get back to that guy. Like
Yeah, he
before
look
the
like he's
season,
getting
I
back.
thought that wasn't possible. Now I'm like, no, it might be possible. Like he seems pretty locked in. Like he
Yeah,
seems
he
ready.
looked to me
And the
like
fact,
he's on his way back. And
yeah,
Hasn't looked bad either.
yeah. Boogie's athleticism is definitely taking a shot. I gotta say that. But it looks like he's learning how to produce within his new I won't say body because his
He's always
body's
been
pretty
a
much
good
the same.
passer. He's always been a good
But
shooter.
within his,
So I
yeah,
think
within
that
his new limits, he's going to be as good as he could be within that. I can't see him being one of the top big men in the league anymore because I don't see that
yeah,
burst like he used to be able to just jam it on you. He used to be able to dribble the ball and even take it up the whole court off a rebound sometimes. Like I don't know if that's still there, but I don't think it has to be because of Christian Wood. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Christian
Boogie
Wood
has a different
becomes
role.
the focal point that Boogie used to be, and then you got John Wall leading the show, and then Oladipo's always been a very effective scorer and a defender. So they
Yeah.
have pieces there. They're not extremely young. They are all in their late 20s, early 30s. But in basketball, we know that's not old. You know what I mean?
That's
They
the
still have
prime. They
time.
all in their prime. They're in their
Yeah,
prime. This is when they should make a run.
and then with all the assets that they're getting from Brooklyn,
Ridiculous.
they can use those in any way. I don't care. People say about, oh well, the first couple years Brooklyn pick gonna be late. They're gonna be in running for the chip. I'm like, that's nice. But when you see draft day trades, it's usually multiple years down the line, and you gave them that ability. Like they have the ability to go into a draft and at any point feel like they can pull a trade off to get back in the top five. And now you add another player, and we all know how good this class is coming out of college. I don't think the Rockets are going to be down and out for long at all.
One last thing on this trade, and then we're gonna move on. I do want to talk about the last to me the afterthought of the trade, Karis LeVert. So LeVert goes from the Nets to the Rockets, and then they add the Pacers to the trade. He goes to the Pacers for Oladipo.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was down on that portion of the trade. I did not like that. I wanted to see LeVert in Houston with Wall and Boogie open court, run up and down. But the more I think about him in Indiana on the Pacers and that roster, I like it a lot, man. I like it because I feel like Indiana could be the perfect opportunity for him to grow into a all-star type player because they have no clear star. They have a lot of really good players,
Oh,
and in Oladipo they had a guy that used to be their star that it didn't look like he was going to be able to get back to that from the injury. Now they got a guy that they're inserting into
Mm.
that same spot that's on his way up.
I actually think he's going to have the same type of rise that Oladipo had there. I feel like they're
Yeah.
going to be the same role, and they were at the same points in their career already. When they get traded, like I feel like this is going to be the same situation. Like he's going to step in, play what he's playing with Brogdon is going to be running most offense. But then Sabonis is in the front court, Miles Turner's in the front court. And I just feel like Levert on the wing as shooting guard is going to be able to open up all his potential because he can become that guy that when they need a bucket
Late
in
game
this
guy to me.
isolation time,
I just
he
feel like
makes that
he's a
happen.
late game scorer
Exactly. He's
to me.
exactly like he's the guy that when they need it to when they need a bucket, they're gonna make it happen. Now let me just say I've been getting these alerts as we've been talking. It's looking like people think the Sixers had a stronger offer, but the Rockets owner was like, hell no, I'm not trading him to Daryl Morey. And I find that hilarious, but at the same time, I understand it. Because if Morey just up and left, if we remember, he didn't get fired.
Yeah.
Like he said, I'm out,
Yeah.
deuces. So the owner's like, oh, okay, that's how you feel. You're gonna leave, and then you're gonna try to trade for this guy too? Nah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Now,
The
it's a
funny
little
thing
petty.
is, yeah,
It's a little petty
he's
because
kind
if
of
you can get if that's the strongest offer, erase all that hate and just get the strongest offer.
yeah. But the owner was kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Either you send him to Maury or you send him back to D'Antoni because D'Antoni's sitting right on the Nets bench.
Well, he was okay with D'Antoni. He wasn't trying to bring him back. He's like, I sent him there. He's an assistant. But he's like,
Yeah.
Maury, you did me kind of wrong. I never had it
Yeah.
envisioned you leaving. And that's what he did. And they keep the second what I got while we was talking to say Rockets owner shot down Sixers offer. Like he's not sending them there. That's funny
Yeah,
to me.
but I think the picks had a lot to do with it. I can't
Yeah,
see y'all giving up those type of picks. I
weren't.
couldn't
They
see
weren't.
that.
They weren't. There's no
Yeah, I
need
can't
to.
see that.
Sorry, like Karis LeVert is a good player. Victor Oladipo is a good player, but Ben is already a little ahead of both of them. And if he ever puts
Yeah,
it all together, it won't even be a conversation. So that's why
yeah,
you don't have to give up the picks when that potential is there. And then I feel like Thibault actually would have been able to raise his game a little more faster in Houston because he's
yeah.
not behind Tobias and Danny Green. You know what I
I
mean?
see
Like
that.
they were going to bring that brings in a different dynamic to whereas you don't have to give up as many draft picks. But we could move on. I just kept getting that see the two alerts out there. That's
Yeah,
funny.
that's funny. That's funny. I didn't even think about it like that. But
Mm-hmm.
so all right, so moving on. Let's talk a little college, and then we'll go to NFL. Since we got uh divisional games this weekend. Um, college national championship. Uh, we saw um Bama beat Ohio State as pretty was predicted. Um, give me what's your takeaways from the championship? What do you think that really is going to do as far as the draft? Um, and we can kind of at the end kind of fold that into NFL when we talk about Urban Meyer,
Mm-hmm.
taking that Jags job.
Well, I'm a Penn State fan, but I like Ohio State. They've always interested me. So that was the team I was rooting for. But when you went into that game, you knew it was going to be an uphill battle for Ohio State because that Alabama team has a lot of professionals on that team,
Mm-hmm.
upperclassmen and younger guys. And Ohio State has their fair share of talent too, but it just was another level. Like that Alabama team, most of them came back with the thought that we're winning it all. Like we dropped the ball last year, and then they just watched LSU win it. LSU Alabama's rivalry is kind of like North Carolina and Duke. And if you look back at North Carolina and Duke, a lot of times if Duke wins, North Carolina wins the following year. If North Carolina
Yeah.
wins, Duke wins. Like that's just how it seems to happen. I feel like that was the same type of situation where it was going to take Justin Fields having the same type of game he had against Clemson versus Alabama to bring Ohio State to win. And I just don't know if that was possible for him to do it twice because we got to remember Justin Fields took a big hit in that
Yeah,
Clemson
he's
game.
hurt. He's hurt. He's
Like,
clearly hurt.
and there's no way he was fully healthy 10 days later. So I did not expect him to be able to produce the same way. Like in the Clemson game, yes, he got the hit and it happened in that game and he still balled, but that's adrenaline. And
Adrenaline.
we all know that. Like once
Yeah,
the adrenaline flows, them ribs is talking to you.
yeah,
And I feel like you kind of could tell in that game that he was not right because he was not using his legs as much as he usually does. And then they lost Trey Sermon on the
exactly.
second
That's what
play
I'm
of the
gonna say.
game. That
Hmm.
didn't help him either. So I don't know if any draft stock changed. Maybe Mac Jones gets a stamp that he might go in the first round now just because he's a national championship and he was able to carry that team through their goal, even though I don't think he was a true reason why they won it, but he got the job
Well,
done.
the only thing I would say about Mac Jones is he may not have been the reason why they won it, but he definitely they gave him no reason to lose. He didn't make any mistakes.
Yes.
He was very accurate with the ball, and one of the things that I've heard people talk about it, and I noticed it in the game. His throwing is the type of throwing that works in the NFL.
He's
He
very
throws
accurate.
with he throws with anticipation, and he throws people open. Like he throws you to the spot, which is that's a good skill to have. I think that he should be a first round, early
Yeah.
first round, maybe not. He'd
Yeah,
probably be one of the later.
if you follow football, college football recruiting, you know Alabama has a stud freshman quarterback named Bryce Young. So I always felt like if he was able to beat him out, then Mac Jones probably is an NFL talent because that's where that kid's going to become. That kid's going to be like a Kyler Murray, like a I'm not gonna call him Watson because Watson's just another level, but he's going to be a big time player. He's going to Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma. That's another. He's probably in that realm. He's going to be the guy next year, and the Alabama train is going to keep rolling. They may not win it all because it's his first year, but for Mac Jones to be able to sit there and beat him
And
out,
still be that, yeah, keep the
that
job.
kind of gives him the stamp that okay, his talent is there. It just he didn't play early because of situation. At first, it was Jalen Hurts' job, then it was Tua's job, and Mac Jones came to Alabama at a time where they were stacked at quarterback, and that's not always true with Alabama. If you look around, there's not a lot of Alabama pro quarterbacks. It's like that's not one
They
position that they
started
put
that.
a
They
lot of
kind of
guys
started that.
that just started. Like Two was there, Hurts is there, but they're all very young. You know what I mean? What was the guy before? AJ McCarron or something like that, but he didn't become anything. Greg McElroy, he didn't become anything. But I worry that Mac Jones was extremely elevated by playing with a Heisman Trophy winner. He played with Najee Harris, who's going to the league. His offensive line has multiple draft picks. That's the only thing I worry about with him is that was
He
it?
had great players, but that's what's going to
Yeah.
happen when you play for Bama.
Mm-hmm. And I just wonder, like,
But
stepping out of that. But that's what. But it might not affect him because, like you said, he may be a first round pick, but he won't be a high first round pick. And we know teams picking in the 20s are a little more complete. Like, I think the best situation for him is to be drafted by the Steelers in round one. Ben plays one more year, then they move into him.
yeah, that'd be ideal. That would be ideal to me. I think because, like I said, I do think he has NFL talent. I don't, but the problem is, without seeing him in the NFL, we'll never know how
Mm-hmm.
much because of who he played with. But that's the thing, and when you play in an NFL team, a good NFL team, you're gonna have good talent around you. So if you're a player that meshes well with good talent, and you don't have to be the show, then you might be in the right spot if you pick in late in the round, go to a good team. Um, I want to talk about since we're talking about NFL draft stock, Waddle. We
Mm-hmm.
know how good Waddle is, but then we also know he had surgery, didn't play for 11 weeks, came back in the national championship game for like a couple plays,
Yeah, handful.
but I was uncomfortable with him being out there. I didn't even
He
want to
never
see him.
looked right. Mm-mm. He didn't look
I
right.
saw I saw one play, the very first play, he looked good, and I saw him limp directly
Limping.
after, and I said, okay, that's it, take him out, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't like that, but do you think that hurts his draft stock or no?
No, I don't think it affects his draft at all because I think him and Devonta Smith were already pro receivers before the season. Like Devonta Smith could have been a first round pick last year,
Mhm.
and Waddle just needed to show that he could produce in a starting role. And I feel like in the 4 games he played, he showed that he had over 600 yards in 4 games. So like he's
Yeah.
extremely fast. Like Henry Ruggs was fast, but they say Waddle might be faster. My only issue with him is my same issue I have with the guy that plays for my team that we just drafted. Small receivers worry me if you want them to be your guy. You know what I mean? I like Tyreek Hill is an anomaly. And I say he's an anomaly because he's not really the guy. Travis Kelce is the guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Tyreek Hill is the same without Travis Kelce. There's not many 5'9",
I feel like y'all had the
5'10".
same thing in mind, though. I feel like y'all had the same thing in mind, except
Yeah,
Ertz
it's because we
was
do
the
have
guy.
tight ends. We have Ertz, we have
Yeah, but I
Goddard.
think Ertz getting
Yes,
hurt kind of.
yes. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not writing off Rieger or any of that. I'm just saying, in terms of Jalen Waddle, I don't know if I take him first round because he's 5'9". 5'10" at the most. I mean, that worries me some. Like, I know some teams are going to see past it. They're going to see the speed. Oh, he could break the top open like Deshaun. But Deshaun's 6 foot. It'd be like, there's a little different.
But there's
Like,
another way to look at it, and I think to me, he might have helped his draft stock a little bit in that national championship game, showing that toughness. Being 5'9", coming on that field,
and still
not
doing
healthy, and what I think that can, I think a lot GMs would see past the okay, he's small, but damn, he's
the
tough
heart
for
there.
sure.
Yeah.
He's not
But
gonna quit
Hart,
on me.
only thing, like, Hart can't get you past a double coverage when one of the guys is 6'2". You know what I mean? That's what he could be as tough as he wants to be inside. That 6'2" corner is going to blanket him. He got to either run past him. If he doesn't run past him, he's kind of out of the play. I mean, that's the only thing that worries me about him is size. I think he has the hands to do it. The speed is clearly there. And something people haven't noticed with Alabama, most of their guys now, when they come into they're coming into the NFL, good route runners. And I think he's going to fall into that same line. Like, there hasn't been an Alabama receiver, except for it was one kid. I forget his name. He went like the third round to the Jets. Or Darius Stewart. He didn't make it. But you think about Amari Cooper, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, not CeeDee Lamb, sorry, Jerry Jeudy. They all stepped in and were effective pretty early. Like, Devontae Smith, no matter where he's going, he's going to ball day one. No questions. Now, Waddle, I think he balls day one in the right situation.
And before we transition, I want to talk. Speaking of, you just mentioned 6'2" corners. Um,
Uh,
I got an interest in the corners at the top of the draft. For some strange reason.
Certain,
13 and
certain, yep,
fairly,
Fairly.
fairly.
I'd say one more. Like, Caleb Fairley, size is there. He came to college as a wide receiver, so he hasn't played DB that long. That worries me a little bit, but he looks like he adjusted to the position pretty well, pretty quickly to be able to play the first 2 years at Virginia Tech. I really wish he played this season. You know what I mean? He's one of them. Like, I think this could have hurt him because he had a chance to, if he could show it for a third year, to maybe jump Surtain, but he didn't play, and Surtain had a rock solid year, so he's number one. There's another guy, J.C. Horn, South Carolina. He's also 6'1", 209, and he will knock your lights out at corner. And ain't many guys at corner that would do that. So I know he might not be there. I know y'all pick what, 10?
10. So, like I said, I feel like at least one of those
That's
guys should
13.
be there.
Yeah, I think 13 makes it a 10, unless Atlanta takes him at 4.
Yeah, I like 13 a lot. Like I said, to me, the name kind of, the lineage kind of helps him in that way. And then also, I watched him, be a man-to-man corner all season
All
for
season, yeah.
Bama, and
And he
he held it down.
and he did very well in the national championship game against another pro. Like, Chris Olave is a pro, and he did not have a good game. His one touchdown came. I mean, he didn't even score. That wasn't even him. That was the young boy Fleming scored. Like, Olive is a player that's going to probably go in the high second round, and Surtain had no issue. It was like, whatever, another guy, another day. you For him, it was
Yeah,
no
that's why.
problem. I say one thing, you said the lineage. This class does have, like, it's kind of crazy. Patrick Surtain's son is there. Asante's son, Samuel's son, is there. And it's kind of crazy. They both play the same position as their dad, and both have the chance to be drafted higher than when their fathers were. And that's cool. Asante Samuel Jr., he like Asante's dad. Like his dad, he's not the tallest guy, but he a ball hawk. He going to get
He'll
that
be a
ball.
slot guy. Slot
Yeah,
guy.
he going to get that ball.
Yeah, no, I would like to have him, but what we picking,
Yeah.
to me, it's between Surtain and Fairley.
Yep.
Gotta
Like
get one of
Surt,
those two.
I'm an Eagles fan. I don't want to see the Cowboys or the Giants get anything nice, but that's probably Surtain is one player I could see being on y'all team. But I would also look like defense. I know y'all need corner, and I know you need a safety, but defensive end is always something that should be considered. You know what I mean?
Of
And I
course,
think if the kid from Michigan was to fall, y'all would have to consider that.
for sure.
Like,
I just don't. I don't think he'll be there.
yeah,
But
that's not. I know.
if
Like,
he is,
we'll see how it plays out. I know a lot of Giants fans I talk to, they're hoping Devonta Smith or Jamar Chase falls to 11. I'm telling them they could just put that to bed. It ain't going
they're
there.
gonna have to pay a receiver. They're gonna have to pay
Yeah, it
somebody.
ain't going there. Yeah, you better go get Allen Robinson because neither one of them is making it to 11.
Yeah, they gonna pay.
There's a chance they're both gone at 6. There's a chance that if Miami's committed to Tua, there's a chance that they take Devonta Smith. You know what I mean? And just try to put them back together.
Yeah, and I'll
Yeah,
say
like
that
they
too. I feel
came
like
into college together. Tua is their your guy, so why not go get him a familiar target? And if that happens, I can't. Then if Jamar Chase is the only guy left, I don't see how he gets past the Eagles at 6.
to me, like I said, I don't see if Miami is not going to take a quarterback, I don't see how they don't take Devonta Smith. Because like you said, he's a familiar face, but he's not just a familiar face. He's also the best wide receiver in the draft.
Not for me. He's not Jamar Chase the best receiver for me, but Devonta Smith is special. But Jamar Chase is my number one, but Devonta Smith is special. The only way I wouldn't take Smith if I'm Miami is if I believe the kid they took last year, Austin Jackson, if they think he can play right tackle, and Pina Wu is there, I consider taking him and having my book in tackles for the next decade. You know what I mean? They have another pick. They have the 18th pick. You can go
Yeah.
get Waddle at 18. He's a teammate too. And you got Devontae Parker already, so you don't have to worry about that height as your number one issue. You don't got to worry about that. So,
That's cool. That's
like,
cool.
if Austin Jackson can play right tackle, and I know that's not always an easy transition, my team is one of them. We have Lane Johnson. He's been a great right tackle. We're never moving him to left tackle because he's a great right tackle. Like, there's no need
Yeah.
to mess anything up. But if Austin Jackson, because he's so young, you're not like, oh, he's not great at anything yet. It's his second year. If they feel as though he could definitely transition to right tackle, I'm taking a guy that they say is going to be an Orlando Pace type, a Jason Peters type, a Tyron Smith type.
And
I'm
they
taking
don't get
him.
them. They don't
You don't
come
get that.
along often.
Especially not the Dolphins, the way they're rolling. And it's crazy that we're saying this. The Dolphins are not going to be picking this high again anytime soon.
Very true.
They have
Very
a
true.
real
They
team.
shouldn't be picking this side
They
right
have
now.
real team. Yes. This
Yeah.
is only because the Texans are the Texans.
Yeah.
Even though I give it the Texans, they gave up too much, but Laramie Tunsil has been the real deal there.
Yeah, he was gonna be.
Yeah. And
Right,
and that's another way to take a left tackle. You gave up Laramie Tunsil. That was your tackle of the future. Why not get Sewell if he's there? Because I think only way he's not there is not a guarantee he's there though yet. If the Jets commit to Sam Darnold, that's who they should take.
that's the question. That's the question. Now that we are made ourselves to the top of the draft,
Oh,
let's
number one.
transition a little bit. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the number one pick.
Yep.
It's been pretty much almost a given that they were going to take Trevor Lawrence, who has been projected to be the number one pick this draft since 2 years ago.
Yep. On a national championship.
What?
Yep. There's a wrinkle. A wrinkle has arrived.
Today they announced that they hired Urban Meyer, one of the best college football quarterbacks in history, that happened to coach at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And you enlightened me a little bit earlier to something that I hadn't even thought of. The whole time I'm thinking, okay, you get Urban Meyer, you go get Trevor Lawrence, you're off and running. But
If Urban Meyer helped get Justin Fields to Ohio State, even though he was leaving, Ryan Day was getting the job, but Urban Meyer was well a part of recruiting Justin Fields to transfer from Georgia to Ohio State. He's talked highly about him over and over and over again. Every time people ask about him, when because he was a commentator for a while. I know the pressure from the fans is going to be there to take Lawrence. Lawrence has been stamped the guy. But if you know their background, these two, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, have been going head to head with each other since high school. Lawrence has got the best sometimes, but Fields has a lot of wins also. Fields just beat him
He just
in the
got one. He just got one. A good one.
he just beat him in the playoff semifinals. He was named the QB1 of his class out of Elite 11. Urban Meyer knows these things. I'm not taking nothing away from Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to be big time. But if I'm Urban Meyer and I already know how one guy ticks and I have to figure out how the other guy ticks, I think I'm gonna go with the guy I know. Especially that's if Meyer thinks their talent level is equal. If he believes that Justin Fields is not on Lawrence's level, I wouldn't agree with him. But if that's his opinion, yeah, okay, he's going to take Trevor Lawrence. But if he believes it's close, watch out. I don't know if it's a lock. Just because and it's strictly because he's the coach. If anybody, they would hire anybody else, we wouldn't even
Anybody
talk about.
else? Yeah,
We wouldn't even talk
and
about.
that's the thing. It's so funny because it's like I wasn't even thinking about it. And you mentioned it, I'm like, oh damn, it is Urban Meyer. That is Justin Fields. He did bring him there, and like you said, he knows that history.
He knows
I think anybody would know the history, but I think he knows that. He knows that.
he's a part of it.
Um, yeah, exactly. And I feel like, what if he does? Like, what do you think the probability is? If you was a betting man, like if you was the one to give a percentage or something, like, because that's what I'm thinking about now. Like,
70-30, 70% Lawrence, 30% Fields. Because I'm gonna say this, I don't think it's in his hands.
that's true. And that's the biggest. Who is really making the pick is the
Yeah.
real question.
And
It
we
did they,
know
but
Jags
also.
owner, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The Jags owner and his son, they run the Jags as if that's their team. That is their team. They kind of run it as kind of fanly. And I think those two are going to probably see the press clippings and know everything that Trevor Lawrence is. And they're going to see that some of their fans have already went and made Trevor Lawrence jerseys. And that's going to be the guy. You know what I mean? He is the stamp kid already. They just better pray Justin Fields doesn't end up better than him in 5 years.
Well, my thing is this also, if you're Urban Meyer coming in, has this already been a topic of conversation?
Yeah,
You
of
knew you were
course.
gonna have the number one pick.
Of course.
Um, could that have been a part of the
Mm-hmm.
agreement? Like, if I come in, I'm making this pick.
I'm making his pick. Yeah, hey, it could be because he's powerful. He's not just taking a job to listen to people. But then
Exactly.
we do know that sometimes general managers and owners feel like, hey, player acquisition is our job. You just coach what we give you. And especially since he's a rookie NFL coach, he's not a rookie coach, but it's the first time he's in the NFL. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if they hand him the full keys, but I do think before they hired him, that conversation was had. They know who they
That
want.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't hire him without it. They know the Jaguars now know more about Justin Fields than they do Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Exactly. So to me, it's so interesting because that one thing, that wrinkle, could change
Oh,
the whole draft to me. Change the
because
whole
I'm
draft.
sorry, Sam Darnold, you're getting traded to Trevor Lawrence is there.
Yeah, yeah, it's no brainer, no brainer, and then the ripple goes through the whole draft.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry, you
very,
get traded, bro.
just a whole new wrinkle to the draft. Just got way more interesting.
Like the state of New York would go crazy if he was on the board and Lawrence didn't go one and the Jets didn't pick him. Oh my God. I feel sorry for Joe Douglas and everybody else there. The city would go crazy. Like Sam Darnold, you would have to pack your stuff at the moment that he didn't get picked because they're taking him. And I mean, I don't think any of us know what Sam Darnold is because I think Adam Gase is a complete fraud.
Yeah, yeah. I think that he's a good quarterback. And he's gonna be good somewhere else. And it's very different situations, but similar to a Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'll talk about that. But if Carson Wentz did get traded to another team, let's say he got traded to the Colts, I think that Carson Wentz would have flourished. He'd have been great.
I feel like Carson
Some
Wentz will flourish with the Eagles too, but Jalen Hurts can't be here.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll
Like
talk
that's
about
his
that in a
issue.
minute.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone for now. But that's his issue. His
Yeah,
issue
but
is up.
yeah, I want to get to it, but I want to say just that I think that Sam Darnold needs to move. I think that they need to move Sam Darnold. He needs to go. Like, I see Sam Darnold as a kid. You send him to the 49ers.
Mm.
With the way they play, I think that Sam Darnold will flourish there.
Yeah, because it's a run-centric offense. They have a pretty solid O-line with McGlinchey. They could trade for Trent Williams. Um, and I like their weapons. One guy has pissed me off, but it's solely because of fantasy football. But he's Debo's still a good player.
Yeah, Debo killed
Brandon
me a little bit too.
Ayuk showed a lot as Brandon Ayuk. He ripped me apart. Brandon Ayuk showed this year that he's going to be a factor. George Kittle will be back, of course. Yeah, like that. They have the weapons for a competent quarterback to take the step. And I think they should be in the market for a competent quarterback because the guy they have may have some skills, but he's the definition of injury prone.
Yeah, I
Like
don't
people
think
try to
he.
give Carson Wentz an injury prone. No, Jimmy
Jimmy
Garoppolo
G.
gets hurt every
Yeah,
year.
yeah. I don't think that. I
Every
think that they're going to be in the market for a quarterback, and I think that if Sam Darnold is available, he's a really good option for them. But all right. So let's
we'll talk all
let's
that.
let's set let's settle in
We
here.
talk
Let's
that
let's
come
get to
free agency.
let's get to me what I think is the biggest story right now NFL wise. The Eagles parted ways with Doug Peterson, fired Doug Peterson, whatever you want to call it. Um, and they're I'm gonna ask you because you're an Eagles fan. Um, what do you think that means for the Eagles going forward?
Well, first, I think it was a mistake. That's number one. Doug Peterson was not our problem. I mean, they could say Doug Peterson wanted to hire certain people on the staff that they weren't comfortable with. All right. But as a coach himself, he was not the problem. The players loved playing for him. His offensive play calling was sketchy, but you can fix that by hiring an offensive coordinator. The issue has been roster construction, and the guy that constructs the roster is still here. You know what I mean? So unless he gets back to what he was, because the championship team was basically built in 2011 and 2012 through those drafts. Like, yeah, that's where you got Brandon Graham. That's where you got Fletcher Cox, Michael Kendricks, Lane Johnson. All those guys came within a couple draft scenario, and he made those picks too. So I got to give him that credit. He signed some good free agents, but in recent times, he has not done much to build our team. You know what I mean? He picked Jalen Rieger over Justin Jefferson. He drafted a quarterback in the second round when he had a quarterback. Even though that quarterback he took in the second round may end up being good, but it created an issue. You know what I mean? And he struck out recently on some free agent signings. He signed Vernon Hargraves, who was okay, but we already had Malik Jackson. You could have signed somebody like Robbie Anderson to help your receivers. So I think with the Eagles, and the reason why I think Doug was let go, I kind of think Doug quit, but we'll leave that alone. Reason why I think he's no longer the coach is because I think the general manager is not willing to give up power, and they're going to stick with Carson. And because they're going to stick with Carson, Doug had to go because those two are clearly on the outs.
Yeah, and I've heard it basically came down to that. It was Roseman wanted Wentz, and
It hurts.
Peterson wanted Hurts, and the owner sided with Roseman.
That's his guy.
Whether
Like Laurie and Roseman, they're close friends, so we know he's going to side with him. But it's kind of contradictory because if you know the situation, Laurie was pressing for Hurts to play.
exactly.
So I don't. It's kind of like,
I
what are you
mean,
doing?
so and what you saying that they say that basically that this move opens the door for Wentz to continue as the Eagles quarterback. But where does that leave Hurts? Because I don't think you can go into a
You
season with Wentz
cannot have both.
with Hurts.
You
Yeah,
cannot have both. If both are back, the Eagles will go 4-12 again next year. The Carson. Matter
yeah.
of fact, I say this: if both are back and they allow Carson to start, they'll be a 4-12 team. If both are back and Hurts starts, they have a chance because he's not mentally weak. Carson Wentz has all the talent in the world. He can make most every throw. He's no longer as athletic as he was pre ACL, but he's still pretty athletic. But he's a mental midget. He was bothered by Nick Foles. He's bothered by Jalen Hurts. He lost his relationship with the coach. It's like, at what point do you look yourself in the mirror and say, I opened the door for this because Aaron Rodgers got a quarterback taken in the first round, as we all know, right? And what did he go out there and do? Huh? He went out there and they to me, they're going to the Super Bowl. So it's like
Yeah,
so
that's my
I
pick.
can't put it all on how we for drafted Jalen Hurts. I gotta give Wentz some heat because like, dude, you're nice. Just play up to that level, and Jalen Hurts is an afterthought. You know what I mean, I want personally, I like both of them. Um, I kind of want to go with Hurts just because I don't like my quarterback to be weak in the head. I don't think that's a recipe for success.
And I
I
think,
feel like if we get the crush,
sorry, I think outside of
you know,
Philadelphia,
I feel like a pressure situation, he's going to crumble.
yeah, I feel like we want you to pick. We want y'all to pick Hurts. I don't think that the league wants y'all to have Jalen Hurts as your quarterback. We would love to see Wentz come back out there. Um, and that's just me speaking as a competitor. I, I've never been afraid of Carson Wentz. I've always, and this is no slight, like you said, on his ability. I think he's a really good player. I think he has all the tools, but I've never been like, yeah, I'm worried about Carson Wentz. It's always been your D line that just bothered me. This past season, it was Darius Slay that I worried about. I've never been really worried about Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, there is still the one the unknown
Uh,
aspect. We don't know how good Jalen Hurts is or can be.
uh,
We know he's looked good. We don't know how good he can be, and also just the fact that he's a talented guy, a leader, and like you said, to me, he exudes being a strong person. Like
yes,
you
he
see
ain't
him
worrying
ready
about
to
winning
take the
at
job.
all. Yeah. If
Yeah, he
Jalen
came
Hurts
in
is
ready to
named
take the
the
job
starter, if Hurts is named the starter, he ain't thinking about Carson Wentz for 1 second.
because
Not for a second.
because Hurts is the type of all right. There's the difference between Hurts and Wentz is this. Hurts went to Alabama and he went to Oklahoma. He knew he was supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he was supposed to be an NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz, his background's not the same. North Dakota State is not necessarily pumping out um, NFL quarterbacks.
They got another one coming this year.
And just as I said that, it popped in my head that they do have one coming this year. But that's
They win a
but
lot. I mean, Wentz knew he was in it. Wentz knows he's supposed to be there. I thought you were going to go out this path saying the difference is Jalen Hurts has already dealt with that adversity. He dealt with Tua being behind him. He was able to hold it off for a little while. Then Tua took over, and he didn't run away right away. He stayed there. And if we remember the next year, Tua was the one that got hurt, and Hurts had to come in and play. Then after that, he transfers to Oklahoma, and he beats out Spencer Rattler, who was a number one quarterback of his class. Like Jalen Hurts has already proven competition doesn't hurt him.
yeah,
Carson Wentz has always been the apple of someone's eye. He's in North Dakota. He's a stud. He goes to North Dakota State. They win championships. Everybody loves him. He had some injuries, but it didn't matter. He comes to the NFL, and he was pretty damn good. Like I know people can say they didn't fear him or anything, but as a rookie, he was 7-9. In his
yeah,
second
no,
year,
like
he
I
was
said,
the MVP before
he's a good
he got hurt.
player.
So that's what I'm saying. Like he's never until Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, he never had anybody pushing him. You know what I mean? It's always been a Wentz centric thing. And I think that is his problem. I think
Yeah,
too many people are kissing his ass and not making him earn it anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's why they say him and D. Filippo, he was the QB coach the year we won it, that those two kind of didn't get along because D. Filippo used to get in his ass. But Wentz knew that D. Filippo got the best out of him. And now, like, we got the QB coach last year, his name was Press Taylor, and all you worried about is how him and Carson are buddy buddy. So it's like, no, bro, like we have to, if you're going to go back to him, you better trade Hurts and you better get a QB coach that's going to make him fix his mechanics because the mechanics is why he had a drop off. Between the mechanics and between the mental shit is what killed him. And if you don't fix those two, I don't care what coach we hire. I don't care if we drafted number 6. You're not going nowhere.
I agree, and you made a good point with Hurts and Wentz, the difference in their background. That's a bigger difference than what I said.
Mhm.
Um, so now let's last thing on this is who's the coach?
Well, I want Joe Brady simply because of what he did with Burrow at LSU. Before Joe Burrow came to LSU, he was not an NFL player. He wasn't even on the radar. He got there that first year, he saw improvement. That second year, he was a rock star. He was the number one pick. So that's where I lean. But I do know some people say he's only 31. And I'm like, yo, you can't tell a 31-year-old he's only 31. That means nothing to me. We're the same age. It really doesn't matter. I know that's very young. But at the same time, Sean McVay got the job at the same age, and nothing was. He's been successful. So I could care less about his age, more about if he's able to develop quarterbacks and able to build an offense that can score points. That's what I want. Now I feel like the Eagles want Lincoln Riley or Robert Saleh. I think Saleh's probably the leader. They interviewed Brady first. We'll see where it goes. But I think Saleh's doing what he should do. He's hearing out everybody. But I think if Saleh tells the Eagles yes, that's who they're going to hire.
Salah's the best fit. I like Salah as a fit for Philadelphia. I think he can handle Philadelphia, which is something you got to keep in mind when you,
Ready for, yeah.
yeah. And I think that his if the team could take on his personality, his identity, I think that that would be good for your team objectively. Um,
I
so I've
kind of
heard,
still want to wait a little too because you haven't been able to. You can't interview Eric Bieniemy yet. You can't enter the boy Brian Dabble yet. Like I feel like kind of handicap yourself moving so quickly. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you could hurt yourself because if all the
you
candidates
wait
get
too long, people
hired,
get taken.
yeah. Like, but I kind of think Bieniemy and Brian Dable are right up there with Robert Saleh in terms of the next names up. So that's why I feel like, hey, I don't know if I got to rush to hire one of them when those two are still in the playoffs and I haven't even had a chance to interview them yet.
Yeah. And you guys are doing a bunch of interviews. I just heard today you guys interviewed Kellen Moore. Do you think anything to that, or that's just kind of
Well, they're going to interview him. Now, I think it's something there. They're looking for the guys they're interviewing. To me, also signals that they're going back to Wentz. That they're looking for guys that can
exactly?
be quarterback builders.
Uh-huh. That's what it's saying to me too. Well, it
Mm-hmm.
could go either way because you could
Either
see
way,
that.
yeah, they both have to be developed. But
Yeah,
when you know
but
how
nah, to me it does speak to Wentz a little bit to me.
Yeah, because if you're gonna keep, if you were ready to, if they were committed to going to Jalen Hurts, you don't fire it up.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And of course, this is going to be a story. We'll be covering it, but sticking with NFL, and we'll finish up with this. I want to talk playoffs. We had the wild card round, some pretty good games.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we got divisional. We can go through game to game. Give picks, give thoughts. Whatever you want to say. So the first one I'm gonna go is the Packers and the Rams. And I'll give my thoughts on it. We mentioned earlier, I got the Packers picked as my Super Bowl team, represent the NFC. Uh, and I got the Packers. I think that what Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones are doing right now is going to be a bit too much for the Rams. But I do say that last week they impressed me with how they handled Seattle. Basically, just sticking to what the Rams do, and riding it out. And then also, I feel like Aaron Donald can be a huge factor. I think everybody named Aaron in that game is going to be a factor.
Yeah, I like the Packers also. I don't think Jared Goff's ready to win in a cold weather city. And if there were fans there, I think the Rams would get absolutely destroyed. But he's lucky there's no fans there. Uh, that's the Packers in that one. I, I got the Saints beating Tampa, but I think I'm kind of only leaning that way because I started to think too many people are picking Tampa. And I'm like, whenever the public goes one way, that's usually not the outcome. So I like the Saints. I know that it would be hard to beat them a third time. I know Brady. I mean, not Brady. I know Bree's arm strength is a question mark. So all those things are there, but I still think the Saints defense, along with Alvin Kamara and a healthy Michael Thomas, is a little too much. On the AFC, I got the Ravens against the Bills in an upset, and then I think the Chiefs walk all over the Browns.
Now, okay. So going back to Tampa and the Saints, everything on paper and in the past that we've seen, I picked the Saints. I think the Saints. The only thing that bothers me about that is just historically very hard to beat the same team 3 times in one season.
Absolutely.
I even go back to Cowboys Cardinals. I don't know if you go back, go back that far. Back when Cardinals were in the NFC East.
Jake Plummer, man. Don't disrespect me. Jake the Snake.
No,
And
we beat them twice. Then we saw them. It did not go well.
And Jake got that booty. Yeah, I remember. Was it like 2000? I think so.
Yeah. So, I kind of, it just brings that back, that memory, like, especially the way they beat them the last time. The way
yes, the 3-time thing is very, very real, I believe. I think it's tough. But like I said, too many people, I feel like, are riding that Bucks upset range. That's what's really pushing me back towards the Saints. And also, I just think the Saints, that defense is real. Like, I like Cam Jordan. I like Marshawn Lattimore. Patrick Williams. I mean, Marcus Williams has played well back at safety. Like, I just think that
the secondary is ball.
Yeah, they have a lot of pieces there. Malcolm Jenkins is there. The running game with Kamara and Latavius Murray. I just feel like they have a little more, and I also think that they do the one thing that Brady doesn't want to do, and that's hit the quarterback.
Yeah, they will get to him. They will get to him. All right, now you said Ravens in an upset over the Bills. I have a concern. I have concerns. With the Ravens.
Transparent, and I'm solely saying that because I'm rooting for the black man.
No, I love Lamar, and I want to see him win. I want to see him do well because I want people to stop talking about that he can't win. It's so stupid to me. It's not solely on him to win the game every time. But anyway, if it snows, which the forecast is like iffy, I cannot see Lamar, who has never played in the snow, admittedly, walking into Buffalo with a team that's been rolling with the guy with the arm like Josh Allen and winning that game. I just can't see it. I cannot see it.
Yeah, weather can affect it, but let me ask you this: if it's snowing, it comes a running game, and who on snow really wants to? Who on snow with that traction not being the same is able to break down and stop Lamar from going for 200 yards?
No, I agree. But my thing is, if anybody can say it's snowing, oh, I don't care about snow. I'm gonna throw the ball. It's Josh Allen.
Oh yeah,
it's such that he can still throw it. Like that's why he's still dangerous. Even if it snows, he's still going to be doing what you wouldn't expect him to do, and that's throw the ball.
No, yeah, the Bills definitely have a great chance to win the game. Like I said, I'm more of me picking the Ravens is because I want Lamar to win, and that's really all. when I apply
my heart is with Lamar.
More football to it, it is more of a Bills lean because that Ravens defense has been leaking oil the last couple weeks, and if Marcus Peters and Humphrey are on their A game, Diggs, John Brown, that the young kid Davis and Beasley can really give you an issue. You know what I mean? Like that's a solid receiving core, and we've already talked about how
I think the Bills have the best receiving core in the league. When you really get down to it, I think that's the best receiving core in the league.
Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin.
Bro, Chris Godwin ain't look like Chris Godwin since Antonio Brown been there. So, like I said again, when you get down to it, what's really going on in that field, Beasley is the best slot receiver in the league right now. Period. Diggs, top two.
Diggs is balling.
Top two. And then John Brown, you know what John Brown does? All he does is bust games open down the field.
Yeah.
And the kid,
they're good. They're good. They're good without a doubt. It's just I'm leading the Bucks on that one. But in terms of the Ravens matching up to stop that, I definitely could see some issues.
Yeah.
Like I said, if Marcus Peters,
My heart is with the Ravens and Lamar, but my head is going Bills.
Yeah, and I think we're the same, but like I said, I want Lamar to win. I'm definitely being biased, and I have no problem admitting that. With the
All right.
Eagles
So,
out,
all right.
I am with the Eagles out, and with how much my son likes Lamar Jackson, that's who we're running with. Let's go Ravens.
I can respect it. I can respect it. So the last one is you got Browns, Chiefs, and you got the Chiefs over the Browns, and you said they're walking over them.
Walt, 35-10. Get the Browns out of here. The Browns Super Bowl was
Really?
last week.
And I mean, I can see a world where that happens. I
Yeah,
can
like
also
it's no
see. I mean,
disrespect to the Browns. I think the Browns proved a lot last week. I think they have an up and coming team. I think the Stefanski is running a system that really fits Baker, and with the running backs they have, they're able to continue to do that. I don't know if they can put up points with
well,
the Chiefs because
this is
if
my
the
thing.
Chiefs go up 14-0, the run game's silent, and now it's on Baker.
So my thing is this: if we get the Chiefs that we are used to seeing in the playoffs, then I believe that's the scenario we're going to see. It's too much for the Browns. But if we get the Chiefs that we saw going down the end of the season,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know,
But
man.
I think there's a reason why we saw that type of Chiefs team,
Yeah,
though.
that's what I'm saying. But can they just turn it on? Now I think this is one of those games where within the first 5 minutes of that game being on, we're gonna know exactly what type of game this is gonna be.
Oh yeah,
We're gonna
agreed.
know exactly what's going on.
Easy immediately.
Yeah, and if they turn it on, if the Chiefs are the Chiefs that we know and that won the Super Bowl last year, yeah, it's a done deal.
Done deal. Bye bye.
Yeah, we're gonna know real quick.
Yeah, that's where I think we only got one difference. Well, no, we got two differences. You got Tampa, I got the Saints. You got the Bills, I got the Ravens. The other two we agree on.
Yeah, we agree
Packers.
on. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see, and of course we'll talk about it. But anything else? Anything we miss or anything we want to touch on?
Oh, I know right now some I don't know if too many people know about it, but it's pretty interesting. Uh HBO is doing like this little short series on Tiger Woods. It's about his life. First episode was more about his upbringing, him and his dad's relationship, and how his life started to change. But he became, the three-time amateur championship champion, and he won the Masters. It it really gives you a deeper look into his life. Someone who kind of put up a shield. He didn't want people all in his business throughout his career, and I respect that. But it is interesting to see him a little closer. Like they show some videos of him in high school, just being a regular teenager, and it's kind of like, man, I never even thought he did those type of things. You thought it was golf, 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 but you come to find out that there was a time where he wanted to play other sports, but his dad had a master plan that worked, so that
Yeah,
won.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been interesting. I think it comes on Sunday nights. Was that a Sunday? Yeah, I think it was last Sunday. But it's just called Tiger. If you have HBO, if you have HBO Max, all you gotta do is search it. Come right up. It's pretty interesting.
I'm about to watch that, and it's weird to me. And I mentioned that it's like I've heard nothing about it. Nothing. I've seen no promotion. I watch sports talk shows all day, every day.
I
Never
think
heard.
because of the station, HBO doesn't have too many partnership stations. So I think there's no real advertisement. Whereas we talked about The Last Dance. That's ABC, that's Disney, that's coming on 12 different channels,
Yeah,
commercials and everything. HBO is a premium channel. And I know that's probably why the buzz isn't there, but the first episode was damn good. And if you have
yeah. Because
HBO,
as
if
you
you have
say,
HBO
we'll
Max,
hear about it
you
soon
should check
enough.
it out. Yeah, you
Yeah,
should
yeah,
check it
definitely. Yeah, for sure.
out.
All right,
Yep, that was about
oh,
all
you
I
got something
have.
else? Yeah,
I
and
was gonna say it was earlier we were talking. Sorry, I had something. Earlier we were talking NBA. I said the Sixers and Celtics were the top, and I know I left out the Bucks, and that was just I forgot about them. But the Bucks are a factor too, and I think we don't talk about
yeah.
them because they're just not. They kind of become boring because they continue to do the same things, but they're a factor. That's it.
It goes back to what you said a while back. I think it's Budenholzer because this is exactly how his Atlanta teams were. They were always at the top of the league, killing things, and then we never thought about them as a factor.
Then
Like we
they
just
the second round of playoffs come out of here. Mike
yeah,
Budenholzer. I won't
it's the
believe that
same.
changes. I have no faith that team gets out of the second round until that coach is gone.
Yeah.
Like it has,
I can't
they
even
got to
say
prove it
anything.
to me.
Yeah, I can't say anything because, like I said, I feel the same way about these Bucks like I did back then when he had Horford and Josh Smith and all those
Kyle
Joe Johnson and all
Corver.
those.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was the point guard name? Jamal. No, not Tinsley. Yeah, the other Tinsley. No, Jeff T.
Jeff Teague. I feel the exact same way about that team
Yep.
as I do
As I
about
do the
this team.
Bucks. Yep. Yeah, Giannis, you're great. Drew Holiday, I like you a lot. Middleton, okay, but Budenholzer holds y'all back. Like the style of play y'all play does not always translate because yes, Giannis is great, but he's not a one-on-one breakdown player, and I think you need that in the playoffs. If you don't have that, you have to have a big man that dominates like AD or Embiid or Jokic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we'll
like
see.
I said, yeah, we'll see. I mean,
I
I think
just
that this is going to be one of those seasons, man. We got an interesting season because of the bubble and all that situation last year. But I think this is going to be interesting in a whole different way, and just that it's so
absolutely, it's gonna be
wide
fun.
open.
It's been fun already. Shout out LaMelo Ball. You've been playing good ball. Shout out LeVar. Got 2 kids in the league. Unbelievable. Both top 3 picks. Anybody that said LeVar was crazy, he might be, but y'all gotta give him his respect.
Yeah, no, he's definitely crazy, but he has great genetics, and he did a good job on those two boys.
He did great. Like it's unbelievable. And LaMelo looks the shot will continue to grow, but LaMelo Ball could ball. Like he could play. He's the best brother. His dad said he was gonna be the best brother, and I see that coming to fruition.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong. He's just crazy. That's the
Just
thing. It's a
crazy.
difference. You could be right and still be crazy. He's
Oh,
right
absolutely.
about
Absolutely.
everything, but he's nuts.
Plenty right nuts.
But
But yeah, that's
yeah.
all I
So
got. Take,
yeah,
take.
man. And I'm sure we'll have a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about. It's more stuff to have. I think the biggest trade of the NBA season, we already saw it. I think that's about that. But we still got a lot of NFL, and then NBA is really still just starting.
Yeah,
So we
we
got
may have seen
we
the
got.
biggest. We may have seen the biggest NBA trade, but NBA trading is not done at all.
Oh no, it's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot going on this year.
Yep.
Um, so that's about it. But everybody, appreciate everybody checking us out. Once again, check us out on social media, um, Twitter, Instagram. We got presence there, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you got socials, we're at under About That Sports Life.
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right, later.